Men are not running away from great women. They are running away from parts of themselves that they are unwilling to fix in order to deserve her. Hello, my ladies and my gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, just welcome. I'm Kylie. I'm a model, and I also teach men, women, dating, and relationships here on this channel. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure you stick around and hit that subscribe button. So for today's video, we are talking about the signs of the emotionally unavailable man. And likewise, myself, I have also experienced the emotionally unavailable man, and unfortunately sometimes we get caught up in these flings, and they usually end up being perpetual patterns that we create in our relationships throughout our life. Okay, so this is not coming out of nowhere. This is something that goes all the way back into your childhood and probably reflecting the relationship that you had with your father. Okay, so when we have rocky, treacherous relationships with our father figure in our life, unfortunately we end up creating these patterns with men and attracting and picking men that are also emotionally unavailable to us, and that can be the hot and cold, distant, sometimes there, sometimes not kind of guy. And so this is not just coming up out of nowhere. So understand this is that if you have an emotionally unavailable partner, it is because you, my dear, are emotionally unavailable yourself. Okay, so we just need to get that and understand where it's coming from and take accountability within ourselves for why it's happening and how we are the only ones that have the power to change it, to heal our hearts, and to change that story and narrative for ourselves. Okay, so, but there are people like me out here on the internet to help you and guide you and navigate you through your journey of healing that and healing those toxic relationship patterns that you have been so brainwashed into. Okay, moving on. One of the first signs of the emotionally unavailable man, and that is that he may have had a lot of short-term relationships in his past. Yes, very many of these short-term intimate relationships is not something admirable, okay? Even though this culture convinces you that that is what you need to be doing in order to gain experience and wisdom somehow, just by having a bunch of intimate relationships with different people, it is actually completely opposite. And a man who has had many short-term relationships in his past probably lacks a lot of accountability within himself and lacks the clarity to be able to see what he's doing wrong or how his patterns are in his relationships and how they're going in order to be able to fix that. So he cannot clearly see. He kind of has this thing where he jumps from a relationship to a relationship and blames the other person for why it is not working out, when in reality he is the one that is unavailable emotionally to her, because he probably doesn't understand women and how women think and behave and emotionally react. But then there's people like me who can help men understand women better. And B, where was I? Oh, yes. And B, those feelings that she's experiencing emotionally, and when she wants to be closer and connect more intimately, they're very scary for him. He cannot hold the container of that. He cannot hold the container of her emotions and when she wants to get deeper and more intimate. And so therefore, he will jump out of that relationship, validate a reason good enough for him as to why he should jump out of that relationship and get into another short-term relationship and just keep on with this cycle that ultimately keeps him very numb and even furthering his emotional unavailability to all women. Got it? Okay, I swear I'm probably one of the very few people on YouTube that has trouble spitting out words. Why did I choose this as a career? Anyways, another sign of emotional unavailability, and that is he has very hot and cold behavior. When you're with him, sometimes it can be very hot and steamy and exciting and exhilarating, and then kind of just switches on you into this very cold and distant, rocky energy. It's a very unsettling feeling for you as a woman, especially because it feels very, very unsafe. And anything that is a threat to our safety as women causes us to build a lot of resentment and just completely shut down. And this is never a good recipe for having a healthy connection in a relationship, because safety is what women ultimately thrive on. It's what the female brain needs to be able to thrive on and create very healthy connections for herself and in her life. So unfortunately, you might feel the extremes of these two energies where it's very, very he's very, very into you and attracted to you, but then he just kind of pulls back and disconnects himself emotionally, and gets very distant with you. And as someone on here who teaches men and women and who understands male perspectives versus female perspectives, and even from a hormonal and biological standpoint, this can be, there's a lot of nuances to this, and it can be a little bit confusing to kind of try to explain this, because yes, there is the truth to it that men do need to pull back and pull away and disconnect, and detach emotionally, but it's not so much to the point where you have no idea where you stand with them. It's not to the extremes of those things. Even when you understand these differences of how we react as men and women and behave in our relationships and what we both do need, even when you do have an understanding of that, it's still not going to feel rocky and so extreme of this hot and cold, pulling in and pulling out, when you are in an actual healthy connection with someone. But when you are with the emotionally unavailable guy, it will tend to feel very, very heavy, and weigh down on you very, very heavy when he does go through these phases of being very, very into you and attracted to you, and you're having fun with him. And then all of a sudden it's very, very cold and distant. And that is not a fun position to be in at all. And adding on to that is that sometimes he can also feel very unpresent in the moments that he is with you. Maybe he's someone who cancels plans a lot, or he's like in some other world, or texting, or on the phone, or busy doing something else when he's with you. He's just not present with you in the moment, and really, really afraid of experiencing that deep emotional intimacy and deep, even conversational, intellectual connection. Those traits can tend to be signs of emotional unavailability, because he doesn't want to be too present with you, in fear of having to face and deal with his own emotional states. Like I said, I have experienced this for myself, and it is a very painful position to be in. And unfortunately, when you do end up attracting and picking someone while you are also in that state of emotional unavailability, and you're not true to who you are, and you're not, standing in your truth, and, being your authentic self, when you do choose these kinds of people, sometimes you might be willing to grow and come out of that, but the other person is not willing to. And that's where it can be kind of tricky, because if that person is not fully invested, or is just not wanting to be on the same page in the long-term goal, then it can be very, very painful and challenging to get the other person to overcome that, or even want to come out of that and influence a man to start to become more emotionally available, because it all starts very, very internal, and it's something that we have to face within ourselves first in order to be able to then come together with someone special and navigate and work through it. So another sign is that there might be a lack of true intimacy. There might be a superficial affection. There might be a couple hugs and kisses and other things that you might be doing on a very, very surface level basis. And it might not be very consistent. It might be something that, again, is very hot and cold with you. And he lacks that emotional connection and the ability to dive deep and get to know you more on a deeper level, which can be very, very painful if you're with somebody that doesn't care to know you on a deeper level and kind of peel back layers and the parts of who you are, and you're able to fully share yourself vulnerably with them. If you don't feel safe to do that, then you're going to experience a lot of issues, and that's going to inevitably affect the emotional intimacy that you have with each other. So that inconsistency can start to show up. It can start to take a toll and show up as you simply hiding parts of who you are, hiding parts of yourself and your life and what you do believe and your values that you stand firmly in, and things that you might feel that you want to say, but you feel like you can't say them just simply because of the way that he is so emotionally disconnected from you. You may be feeling like you have to hide those parts of yourself in order to please him and to not rock the boat and disturb his feelings or, trigger him or anger him in a certain way. You have to kind of hide these things about yourself and your core beliefs, just simply because he doesn't have the strength and ability to hold all that it is and all that you are and all that you come with, because of the lack of ability to hold all of those things for himself and within himself, and to deal with his own past issues. So that way, when you come with yours, he can't handle that either. Am I making sense here? And I always like to give a little bit of relatability here in my content, because I think it's very important. And it just helps me to even feel more connected to you and show you that I just want to be as authentic as possible, right? So for reference, one time I was dating a guy who was definitely very emotionally unavailable. And of course, I had attracted him at a time where I was too. I wasn't true to who I was. I wasn't being authentic to myself, and I was a little bit more wavering in my beliefs overall and my worldviews. Okay, and so he was very inconsistent in his pursuit and approach of me. Weeks would go by and I wouldn't hear from him, months even. But then even when it did get a little bit more serious, it was still very inconsistent. The energy was just very, very unclear of where we stood with each other and where we were heading and where we were going towards. Everything comes down to reading the energies of someone, right? Everything is energetics. And so you can quite literally feel when somebody is so disconnected from reality and disconnected from themselves and disconnected from you, especially when you are someone who maybe is a little bit more connected to yourself. So, it was just, everything was kind of just very unclear, and he would just kind of wait around for a signal to pursue or a signal to be affectionate or a signal to pursue and reach out to me, right? It was always just this wishy-washy imbalance of energies. And that was really when I realized, okay, this is not how a relationship is supposed to feel. Like, it's supposed to feel safe. It's supposed to feel calming. It's supposed to feel at ease. We're supposed to come together and have this amazing, exhilarating, loving just so fulfilling experience and conversation with one another, where we don't leave depleted and confused and wondering where we stand with each other. It's supposed to be where the conversation and communication is so clear, and the safety is so established with one another, that that can never be broken. That can never be changed just simply because someone maybe says the wrong thing one time or makes a simple mistake. Regardless of how whatever mistakes that you make as a human being, which you will inevitably do, that the energy of the relationship is supposed to stand so strong that regardless of those things and regardless of how you rock the boat or things that come up that trigger each other, you still are very clear where you stand with one another. And so that's another really big sign, is that you might not know where you stand with him, because the communication is very, very unclear, and the connection to you, even on an intellectual level, is very unclear. You kind of just end up being on different pages. And sometimes these emotionally unavailable men are also very fearful of commitment, right? They're fearful of commitment because in the past they have committed and it ended up not working so well for them. And so now they reject all commitment, true tests of commitment to a woman for a lifetime, and really getting down and deep with her, out of fear of themselves messing it up, doing or saying or being the wrong thing. And it's really sad that it is that way, and that people are having that lack of self-worth. But it's a very real thing. And so his fear of commitment is ultimately what keeps him from becoming too close and invested into you and becoming too tied to you emotionally, because it's a very scary place to go. And that's true, it is a scary place to go. But like I said, when you are on the same page and you have the same goal in mind and you stand so rooted in who you are and what you both desire and what you both need from your partner, it's a very easy thing to navigate through and to work through, to be that person who can commit. It all is built simply around your beliefs around committing and what that means. Okay, I hope I'm making sense to you still. Okay, and tied into that is that his love might feel very conditional. Another sign of the emotionally unavailable man is that his love for you is conditional. It's built around if you say the right thing, if you walk on eggshells around him, if you do not disrupt his peace of mind, and you don't say what it is that you need to say or express how you feel about things in an intelligent, feminine, soft, loving way, of course. But even when you're not being soft and loving and feminine, that is all parts of you. And you should always feel comfortable enough to be authentically you, because the right man will love all those crazy, irrational parts of you. But with the emotionally unavailable man, it can feel very conditional. His love for you, his affection for you feels conditional, in which you are just too afraid to upset him, and in defense that he will get defensive, just so quickly and almost at nothing, quick to take defense over something that you say. Inevitably, you may end up avoiding any type of conflict with him, because you've maybe seen for yourself how when you do try to healthily express something, he just kind of shuts you down, dismisses your feelings, or deflects from the conversation, or even just lashes out at you for just simply expressing and wanting to talk about something because he can't control his own emotional reactions to things. Never a fun situation to be in. I completely understand if you are in this. And hear me out. I'm going to say it again, that if you are stuck in a situation or a partnership with a man like this, just know that you yourself are also struggling and perhaps emotionally unavailable, because if you were emotionally available and you held true to your standards that you have for yourself and wanting to be, cherished for yourself and your feelings, and as a prized possession of a man, and you see your role as a woman so highly valued in a man's life, that you would have never chosen to stay with a man like this if you had the self-worth for it. Okay, so like I said, there are people like me out here to help you through those kinds of situations. All you have to do is reach out to me via email and send me an email about your situations or any of your dating situations, and I will happily respond to you. Leave a comment down below if you like this video and hope to see future videos just like this, and make sure you subscribe if you are not already, to help this channel grow. I think that's all I'm gonna say for this video for right now, since it's already pretty long. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Love you.